Hello, it is Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. I'm Chris Primo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. This is an unfortunate edition of the Daily Solve because, as it turns out, I've already solved this Wednesday-themed puzzle. I solved it just moments ago, and when I went over to my recording software to press the stop button, I realized I'd never pressed the start button. So I performed an entire edition of the Daily Solve, but did not, commit it to my computer's memory. So that was quite an error. So I was trying to figure out what to do. Should I solve a different puzzle? But it is nice to have this record of the daily crossword each day. So I figured I would just walk through solving it. I just wanted to let you know in advance that it's not a true solve. So I reset the grid and we'll do that. And this slightly unusual edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Matthew Drake, Spriggs, and, as always, the indomitable Showmaster, the indefinable Charlie Paget, and the inexplicable Chris Ward. Thank you so much to those 5 benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign for their generous support. They do, of course, keep this series going day in, day out, and they encourage me to to properly record these videos when I make a mistake like this. So thank you to those 5, and thanks to everybody who supports the channel via Patreon. It really does help. You can also join the Daily Solve Discord chat server, a nice friendly chat community linked in the description field. And you know what? Let's not waste any more time because we just need to get this over with, don't we? So this is a crossword by Laura Dershowitz, who's constructed a few puzzles for the New York Times. It was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. It's a Wednesday-themed puzzle. Let's start solving. Suddenly stopped moving. If one suddenly stopped moving, one froze. And a Japanese noodle would be, well, you could imagine it being udon or soba or something. So let's check the crosses. I mean, obviously, I know what the answer is, but as I've told you, because I solved this, but I'm gonna follow it through. Soup recipe instruction. You could be instructed to stir, which then would disambiguate our noodle here. Japanese noodle is soba. Surgeon informally. I actually didn't really realize what this was when I found it, so let's just keep going. Shire resident. This does not mean Shire in the sense of an English county, but rather the Shire from The Lord of the Rings. So the character of Bilbo Baggins from The Hobbit lived there. Heloise's lover. This is a funny reference. This is a reference of letters sent between 2 medieval, I guess, sort of cloistered people, a monk and a nun. But anyway, Abelard and Heloise, as who's being referred to there. Chicago paper familiarly with the is the Trib, the Chicago Tribune, a distinguished newspaper. Surgeon, oh, right. And then that helped me get surgeon informally is OR doc, an operating room doctor. So there we go. The devil's workshop, it said, would be, the phrase goes, idle hands are the devil's workshop. So there we go. Kapow. I think I went quite a while with this being, what did I think this was originally? I don't remember. I had this wrong and it threw me off for a while, but now I can't even remember what it was. Pronoun that's falling into disuse. I wasn't sure what that was initially either. Virtue signal, question mark. So a signal of virtue. I wasn't sure about that either. Ancient Chinese dynasty, though, Han would make sense. And that's, of course, the dominant Chinese ethnic group. Word with style or fashioned, old style or old-fashioned. September and October, those are examples of months. So we've abbreviated that because the month names themselves are abbreviated in the clue. So that made this seem pretty obvious. Pronoun that's falling into disuse, the pronoun whom, for whom the bell tolls, that kind of usage, which I think probably is slowly falling into disuse. Virtue, we used to have many more pronouns in English. And over centuries, we've lost more of them than most other European languages. Anyway, kapow is wham. Hiccup is some kind of problem, and we'll come back to that. Word on a gift tag. You could say from such and such, from the giver of the gift. Shankar, who performed at Woodstock, would be the sitar player Ravi Shankar. Black cat maybe could be a worrisome omen. And fiddler on the roof star is Zero Mostel. There we go. To catch in a sting would be to entrap somebody. And then here we have Japanese noodle soup. So we had one Japanese noodle, soba, and then we had Japanese noodle soup, which is ramen. If something's in plain sight, it's overt. Oh, I think I might have missed this clue entirely when I solved this the first time because I did all those downs in a row. I don't remember reading that. Anyway, I didn't read this one either. I guess it's good that I'm doing this again. Like tres and cuatro relative to uno and dos. They're más, they're more. 3 and 4 are more than 1 and 2. Pitchfork-shaped letters. So this is referring to the Greek letter psi, which look like that trident. And then element named after the Greek word for sun. For some reason, this took me more moments than it should have done. I was thinking, well, helio something. So what would that be? I don't remember what my ideas were, but anyway, it's obviously helium. Pretty straightforward. They elevate a choir's performance. And this was another one where I thought, oh, risers. Oh, that's not long enough. That must not be the answer. No, it is the answer. I don't know why I thought it wasn't. Place to pick daisies. You could pick daisies in a meadow, perhaps. And then mysterious knowledge could be arcana. And Rick of Rickrolling fame, Rick Astley, who performed the song Never Gonna Give You Up. I saw a video of a performance by Rick Astley at Glastonbury, I think just a year or two ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. He is in remarkably good shape as a singer and performer. I thought he had a really incredible stage presence and overall skill. It's pretty impressive, I think. A lot of people lose that more than he seems to have. Relating to form is modal. And then comedian's stage performance is a stand-up act, like a stand-up comedy act. I remember looking at these and trying to figure out the theme. In fact, I think I jumped to the theme: common volleyball combo, or 20, 34, and 41 across together. And I didn't have any ideas about this, so I won't act as though I had done at this point in the solve. Casserole topped with guacamole or sour cream. I didn't know this at the time, so we'll keep going. www addresses are URLs, uniform resource locators, web addresses. Earl of food storage fame. And this I immediately thought, oh, it must be Tupper. I've never heard of this person before, and I guess I've maybe occasionally wondered why Tupperware is called Tupperware, but I never looked it up or thought about it for any kind of duration of time. So there we go. Earl Tupper of Tupperware. It was new knowledge to me today. So to talk excessively is to prate, to go on and on. State leader could be tri-state, like the tri-state area, which commonly refers to a major metropolitan kind of zone around New York City. Shakespearean dying words. Et tu, Brute, attributed by Shakespeare to Julius Caesar, who in my first solve I erroneously momentarily called Julius Shakespeare. Anyway, flight board posting could be the arrival time of a flight. And near, if the particular time is near, it's nigh. A burst of energy could be a power surge. So now we have all three volleyball-related things somehow. And I thought, well, maybe it's a kind of common volleyball combo. Maybe it's kind of a setup and a spike, but I didn't really have any idea about how to factor that into the grid yet. Party pooper is a spoil sport. Actress Skive, say anything, is Ione Sky. I might be mispronouncing that. Apologies if so. And corridor is a hallway. A hole near a sole, so sole of a shoe, for instance. This could be an eyelet through which you would thread shoelaces. And then a southwestern gully is an arroyo. So there we have a geographical clue. If you've been attacked as by a tiger, you've been clawed potentially. And then the casserole topped with guacamole or sour cream was taco pie, which I don't think I've ever encountered. I've had many tacos in my life, but I don't think I've ever consumed a taco pie. Personification of darkness in Greek myth. Oh, I might have missed this one, actually, in my original solve. I don't remember this. But Erebus, right? I think that's right. Let's see. Home plate is the fourth one. Fourth base, effectively, in baseball. Yes. And then Michelle Obama to Craig Robinson for short. He's her brother, so she is his sister or sis. This one I saw, didn't know what it was, and then never went back to it. So it must be Big East, Seton Hall's conference. So this will be a sports conference, probably university level sports. Seton Hall, that must be a university. Anyway, Portugal's capital in Portugal. So it's not Lisbon in Portuguese, but rather Lisboa. Oops. Oh no, what have I done? All right, so loops in a way via email could be CCs, carbon copies, and it's not one of the 5 W's, is Right. I remember thinking through this at the time. So the 5 W's are who, what, where, when, and why. But there's another question that can often be applied to similar kind of investigatory endeavors, which is how, the method by which something was achieved, or that maybe a crime was committed or something. And obviously it doesn't begin with W, although it has a W in it. Sacrifice a fly is to swat it, to sacrifice it, to literally kill the fly. The E of BCE is era, as in the phrase before Common Era in dating of years. Dad humor, perhaps, could be corny humor. And then if something's not quite broken, say it's bent. It's bent but not broken. So the most tacky thing could be the cheesiest one. Bit cheesy, bit tacky. Cross-country runner's asset would be their stamina. And warrior's weapon could be a spear. I think I was thinking at this point could be spear or sword. I think I was wondering that before cheesiest. Assignment often graded with a red pen could be an essay, which could have red pen corrections on it. And then younger Stark daughter on Game of Thrones. Didn't know this at the time, but I think it's Arya, if I recall correctly, from 10 minutes ago. Mountain above Vulcan's forge is Mount Etna, the volcano, so associated with the Greek mythological figure of Vulcan. And then bread in a tandoor would be naan bread. You could bake that in a tandoor oven. So then eventually I figured out, I see what the theme is. It took me until almost the end of the entire solve, just as it has in this version of the solve, which is that the common volleyball combo is a bump, a set, and a spike. So I got the spike in that I wanted. And essentially each one of these is phrased respectively. Well, it could be synonymous in some sense, respectively, with these three terms. So a minor problem is a bump, a stand-up act is a set, and a power surge is a spike of power. So there we go. Right-leaning type abbreviation dealing with typography text would be italicized, so ITAL. Nut, that's a source of caffeine. The cola nut is a source of caffeine. And finally, non-eternal flames are X's because they're flames, romantic sort of entanglements, but they didn't last. They're X's. So let's also just look at these crosses. A wrinkle remover could be Botox and Botox injection. Papal, oh, right, I didn't look at this either during my original solve. Papal vestment, orale, or, oh yeah, I don't know what that is actually. Okay, so there's a bit of papal clothing. And then a book often shelved on its side is an atlas, perhaps because it's so big, I suppose. I'm not sure exactly about that, but it must be the answer. And there we go. So you can see I didn't get I hope this didn't ruin my streak. Because I did have to reset it, and we don't see the streak thing here. I have to assume that's okay. I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow, I guess. Anyway, that was the Wednesday crossword featuring our bump, set, spike theme. A bump, a minor problem, a set, a stand-up act, and a spike, a power surge. And there we go. That was the Wednesday crossword. I apologize that this wasn't a true solve. I will endeavor not to make the same mistake tomorrow. Come back and find out. But until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Wednesday. Take care.